All right, good evening. I'll bring this February 12th council meeting to order. We could please rise for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Nunn. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Mayor McPartlin?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Here.
Councilmember Dixon is excused tonight. Councilmember Dodd?
Here.
And Councilmember Nunn.
Here.
Thank you.
Council, any agenda modifications? All right, that leads us into proclamations, awards, and brief announcements. All right. All right, Donna Halloran, Felicia. You can have this one already. You know, what's this, 3 out of 4 days? This is, I don't know, something crazy. How are you? Good, how are you? All right. You got even tanner from being out there all over the weekend, right? All right. All right, this is a proclamation for the Invasive Species Awareness Week, February 24th through the 28th. Whereas invasive, exotic, aquatic, riparian, and terrestrial species influence the productivity, value, and management of a broad range of land and water resources in the city of Sebastian, and whereas invasive species impede industry, threaten agriculture, obstruct outdoor recreation, endanger human health, and are becoming increasingly harder to control as a result of rapid global commercialization and human travel, and whereas invasive species threaten the health of native trees and can alter local ecosystems on a fundamental level, and whereas prevention is far less expensive than trying to remove species once they arrive, and an educated and aware public is highly effective at detecting introduced species early, and whereas the city of Sebastian strives to prevent and mitigate the impacts of invasive species on our community and has partnered with the Pelican Island Audubon Society to host Sebastian's first Great Air Potato Roundup at Stormwater Park on February 8th in advance of National Invasive Species Awareness Week. Now, therefore, I, Bob McPartlin, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim February 24th through the 28th as Invasive Species Awareness Week in the City of Sebastian, and hereby encourage residents to promote knowledge and understanding of the threats posed by invasive species and to learn more about preventing invasive species in our community. Now, that was a mouthful. Whew. All right. Well, this weekend, Felicia and, of course, Donna Halloran, they were out there picking up the air potatoes, whatever you want to call them. I still don't understand why you can't eat them. They look like they could be eaten. So, Felicia, if you want to go on about how much we collected.
Actually,
Or Donna.
oh, over 200 pounds, you said, Donna? That's wonderful. As we were going through the event, we were weighing a couple of the bucketfuls to see how many people would come back with throughout the event. And you'd get, like maybe a quarter of a bucket, and it could weigh, I'm not sure if ounces mean anything to anyone, but over 1,000 ounces or 2,000 ounces of air potatoes. And they're really small, but they are quite dense. And we hope nobody tries to eat them because they are toxic. So please don't eat them, and be careful with your pets if your pets try to eat them, please. And
I just want to say I think it was a great success, and we love the partnership. And not only did they get all the air potatoes, but we also got a truckload of vines, and we filled the truck. And the city workers were wonderful, so I appreciate it. And thank you for coming out. Thank you. Thank you.
Picture? Great job. Don't forget to send me that email. All right, brief announcements. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Friday, February the 14th, the Chamber of Commerce, finally Friday on Cleveland Street, and that will be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The band is Penny Creek Band. Friday, February the 14th, here at the Senior Center on Valentine's Day, there'll be Valentine's Bingo from 10 a.m. to noon. Saturday, February the 15th, Sebastian River Art Club, Art by the River, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Friday, February the 21st, Chamber of Commerce Concert in the Park from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m., and that would be St. John's Wood. Also, Saturday, March 8th, we have a free stargazing party in Riverview Park at the Twin Piers, and that'll be from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., and that's with the Treasure Coast Astrological Society. So if anyone's interested, come on down.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, before we start public input, we have Barry Shapiro, also known as the sock guy. They were asking me about you today, actually.
Well, first of all, Mr. Mayor, thank you, and all members of the council, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'm very glad I could make it. I had to work late tonight, and I just got here. So it's a real honor and a privilege to speak before you about the sock drive. This is the 7th year we have done this, and we have changed the name. It used to be the Vero Beach Sock Drive, where we started. And now, because we have expanded and gone up and down, we have locations all the way from Port St. Lucie up to Melbourne now. So we are now the Treasure Coast Sock Drive. Last year, we collected over 15,000 pairs of socks. We delivered those socks through 22 charities to people who were homeless, people in need, and up, as I said, up and down the Treasure Coast, as far north as New York. And just as an example, here we give socks to the Source. We give socks to the Hibiscus Children's Center. We give socks to the Up Center. We give socks to the Hope for Family Center, and on and on and on. As I said, we've been doing this for 7 years, and it just keeps growing organically. We are not a charity. We are not a 501c3. We're just a group of friends, local people that want to do some good, and we don't take anyone's money. We take socks. This year, I can't really tell you at this point what we've collected, but my guesstimate is that we've exceeded the 10,000 number, and we are shooting for 20. We want to keep expanding and growing and helping people where we can. That's why I'm very thrilled to be here before you today, so that I can let everybody countywide in Sebastian know about this. We have boxes. We have a website, treasurecoastsockdrive.com. We have boxes, as I said, all over the place. We have them here in Sebastian, at the Hen House, for example. We have one right here in the lobby of City Hall. If you see this logo on our box, there's a QR code. And the QR code takes you to our website. There you can find out more. You can find out more information about who we are, what we do, and the scope of what we're doing. So I'm going to keep it short. I know you got business to attend to. I appreciate the opportunity. If anybody has any questions about what we're doing or where, I'm happy to answer.
I just have one thing, Mr. Mayor, if I might. Barry, can you also share with us to our residents, you not only get them from sources like this, but you have other sources that you get socks from?
Yeah, actually, thanks, Fred. I appreciate that. So if you go to the website, there's a button with an Amazon link. We get, right now, I think we have well in excess of 2,000 pairs of socks that have come in just through Amazon. So that's another way that people who can't get to a box can, you know, at home at 2 o'clock in the morning in their PJs, can just get on there and buy a few packages of socks. You know, here's the thing. Socks don't cost a lot of money in the store. You can go to Target, you can go into Walmart, you can get a 12-pack for maybe, you know, $6, $7, $8. We take men's socks, we take women's socks, we take children's socks. And for the Hibiscus Center, Children's Center, they always say, send us some men's socks because these boys' feet grow fast. But we take compression socks for people who have diabetes and other health issues. And so if you go to the site, you can jump on Amazon, like I said, 2 in the morning if that works for you. You can buy some socks. It's not a lot of money, but it makes such a difference. If you don't have a place to wash your clothes, socks become a completely disposable item. You wear them for a week or whatever, they get a hole in them, you throw them away, and it's hard to replace if you don't have a situation that, where you can make some money and go out and buy something like socks. If you can go to one of the centers and just get a free pair, Camp Haven on US 1, another one of the organizations we attend to, they really appreciate this. So I appreciate your asking that question. That's very important. Thank you. Anything else I can say or convince you?
No, sir. Thank you. I mean, foot care is one of the most important things. A lot of people take it for granted, but especially for homeless people, if your feet get wet, then it leads to other problems. And also next week, starting on Thursday, we do the point in time count. We go out and count the homeless throughout the Treasure Coast from noon on Thursday to noon on Friday. And I'm sure we'll be passing out some of the socks that you have there.
That'd be great. And the sock drive goes formally through the end of the month, end of February, but I'll take them anytime.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
All right, now I'll open up public input for anybody who wants to speak on something that's not on the current agenda. Yes. Hello.
How are you?
Good.
I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit
First,
about...
you could state your name,
Oh,
please.
Christy, I'm sorry. I'm a resident in Sebastian. Actually born and raised here. I emailed you guys about the speed limit in the residential neighborhoods being 30, and I live on, a pretty busy street. It's about 19 feet wide. I took it upon myself to measure. My car is about 6.5 feet, and my neighbor's here, Sally, and she'll tell you in my yard I have 6 to 12 kids every day, Monday through Sunday, after school, and on the weekends it's 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. These kids are choosing to be outside versus on screens, so I'm sure you guys could appreciate that, but it's not safe. It's not safe. I have to sit in the middle of the road. Like, people are flying down the streets. Everyone, I have almost probably about 60% of signatures. I don't know if you want it. You can.
Sure.
From people on Lakeport Drive and other surrounding areas that want the speed limit dropped. I got a response saying it would affect first responders, so I took it upon myself to talk to some first responders about the speed bumps on Lakeport, because there's 2 blind corners. If you curve around Lakeport, it's blind. If those kids are outside, and it only takes 1 mistake, and those kids are, that's it. And they responded, and I'm not going to say names of the firefighters, but they said they would rather go over known speed bumps than unknown potholes that aren't fixed. And they would rather go over known speed bumps than respond to a child or somebody down by a hit car. 30 miles per hour on a through street in a residential neighborhood that matches Barber Street is absurd. 19 feet of headway plus UPS truck ran my wife off the road and hit a mailbox. It's out of control, and I'm asking you, this is our community, and we want a safe environment where our kids can thrive, right? We want safety for our children to thrive in Sebastian. And all I'm asking you is to revisit it. Revisit it, think about it, drop the speed limit in residential neighborhoods, please. Please.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand at this time.
All right, thank you. All right. Mr. Ben, you want to talk about, I think we were doing a speed study in that neighborhood, or too preliminary?
I know we did a speed study in that area. I don't quite recall the results of that, but I can get more information. I think I'd shared the speed study with you all, but I'll get that more information out, and then I'll be happy to share it with the resident as well. And we did have some internal discussions from a staffing level in regards to that area, and we'll take another look at it in regards to the curves and some of those things. I just don't, off the top of my head, I don't. On top of my head, I don't remember the speed study results. I apologize.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ben. All right, so that's it with public input. Leads up to the item 8 consent agenda. Council?
Move approval.
Second. Jeanette, you get that? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Leads up to item 9, committee reports and appointments. We have one for the Natural Resources Board.
Yes, sir. I have Laura Thompson, the only applicant.
Sir, go ahead.
I have 2 alternate position openings.
Mr. Mayor, I nominate Laura Thompson to fill the first alternate position.
I'd like to offer an alternative if we could. We recently had Sherida Billman had resigned from a regular position. I would make a motion that you would have to cancel your motion before I do that.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll make a motion that we waive the advertising requirement for the current empty regular member position on the Natural Resources Board, and that we place Laura Thompson in that position.
Second.
All right, sounds good. Any other nominations?
Nope.
All right. Congratulations, Ms. Thompson. Welcome to the board.
You're official.
All right, no public hearings, no unfinished business, new business. Item 12A, consideration of resolution R-25-04. Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have Mr. Sabo here who can provide some specific details in regards to this grant agreement with FDOT for engineering and design terminal apron expansion at the airport. Mr. Sabo.
There we go. Yes, Mr. Mayor and council members, we're asking you to consider the acceptance of this grant that is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation concerning the design and engineering to expand the possible parking spaces at the terminal apron, which is the area right in front of the terminal for parking of aircraft. Currently, the existing layout only will handle 6 aircraft. Because of the flight school and other transient traffic, there are times when every spot is full. We'd like to make sure that we can be as welcoming as possible and accommodate any aircraft that come in. And with some strategic placement and changes of the existing asphalt and adding some 2 to 3 smaller areas to it, we will be able to actually double the amount of parking space for aircraft up to 12 from the current 6. This was planned for in the budget as we've been leading up to this with FDOT, and what had happened through negotiations with the FAA earlier in January, FAA has taken an interest in the project because it's for the greater good of the public, and they have decided to step in and take on the brunt of this project. And instead of an 80-20, where we would have had the 20% share of which was budgeted at $45,000, thanks to the FAA's participation, that drops it to only 2.5%, and that's why we're here tonight to ask for your approval to take on this grant to the amount of $5,750.
Thank you, Mr. Sabo. Doesn't seem like a no-brainer to me, almost.
Well, I just have a quick question. We're depending, there's an additional $230,000 that has to be funded for the project, and we don't have any grants covering that. Is there any tie between this grant and that? There's some, I'm just trying to decide. I mean, we're talking about accepting a grant for $45,000 of a $230,000 project, but we don't have the grant source available for the remainder of that.
The remainder of that will be coming from the FAA. The pre-application paperwork's already in hand. We are using that against the infrastructure grants that were placed forward. When this came up during the call, the FAA chose to offer this up to us. My only concern at this time is with all the turmoil that's going on with the federal government as to the timing on this. These are funds that are already allocated for Sebastian. Most likely we would hear something on this going into, hopefully by April, we would have the approval and know that the FAA funding is coming with it.
Okay.
Without the FAA funding, I don't
All right,
see
so
us
you don't
proceeding.
feel there's any likelihood that we might do a contract for this $45,000 and find out we don't get the remainder of the funds?
We will not proceed with any bids, contract
Okay.
work until we know we have the funds, sir.
I'm fine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I do have a question now.
Yes, sir.
So the 45,000 was our anticipated 20%?
That's correct.
Okay, and so we're only going to use 5,750 of what we anticipated our cost to be?
Yes, sir.
Because the rest is covered by FAA and FDOT. Okay, cool, thank you. I'm good.
All right, counsel.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this? Anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand at this time.
All right. Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please accept item 12B, consideration of a purchase order for Palm Bay Concrete and Materials not to exceed $93,154.64. Mr. Benton.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I do have Lee here who can go into some specifics, but I'll give the general idea of the project. So this project came about, we're looking to, or it is planned to repave North Central Avenue this year. In our assessment of North Central Avenue, we realized that the curbing in that area is pretty cracked. It needs to be replaced. And in addition to that, the sidewalk on the east side of North Central needs to be replaced as well. The entirety, 5,390 square feet of sidewalk will be replaced with this project. This project specifically was not budgeted for this year. However, if you see under the funding source, we're requesting to use the DST funds that are remaining from the DeVita dialysis sidewalk project, which has been completed. That project came in well under budget with some re-engineering of what we were planning to do there at that site. That was a head wall or a seawall area that we had some concerns that was failing, and with some redesign of that project, that came in $114,319 under budget. So what we're requesting here tonight is to utilize $93,154.64 from that amount to complete this concrete project, east side sidewalk of North Central Avenue, and then also the removal of the existing F curb, which it sees a lot of cracking because we have a lot of traffic that's driving over the curb there, specifically around the area of the funeral home and in some residents with their homes there. So we're looking to replace that with a Miami curb, which would make it much easier to get up and over, and we won't see the issues with the curb that we currently have. So that is the request for tonight. Any other technical questions? Mr. Plord is here as well.
All right, counsel, any questions for Mr. Benton, Mr. Plord?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please accept item 12C, consideration of a purchase order for Conlon Landscaping not to exceed $868,440 for swale work and sod work in line with Phase 3 road repaving. Mr.
Yes,
Benton.
sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. So once again, this is based on last year's budget discussions. We went away from the yearly repaving schedule and implemented it into a phasing process. That way we weren't looking at streets per a year basis. Depending on the budget that we have available on an annual basis, we can allocate them into different phases. So phase 3, which is shown in your agenda packet on page 85, outlines the streets that are included in phase 3. And this request is to allocate the existing funding, so it is already budgeted, DST street reconstruction project funding specifically for swell and sod work within phase 3. So the request for the $868,440 is for a purchase order to Conlin per our agreed contract with them. We are looking at, we're doing a full assessment of the swells that within this complete area. So this is a worst case scenario. Our plan is to look at the swells that need to be done and reduce this amount. But in order to get this started, we had to have a purchase order open. So we know that there are streets that have to proceed. And then we will continue to assess them on an as-needed basis throughout this phase in preparation for paving later this year, this fiscal year, continuing the progress that we're currently seeing with paving around the city.
Council, any questions for Mr. Benton or Mr. Plourd?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Everybody, I think, that's up here kind of remembers 3 years ago and the battles over the swales. I think it's important for the residents to understand that this is part of the city's attempt to straighten the swales out, but the residents are still, once it's finished, responsible for maintaining them. And if they're not maintained, they won't work forever. And so what the city has done as part of our repaving project, in recognition of the fact that if you don't fix the swale, the paving project lasts a lot less. I mean, it may last half the time it normally would without fixing the swale, if you don't fix the swale. So the decision was made by the council to spend the funds to fix the swales when we repave the streets. It's important for residents to understand that once these guys get through there, you're going to have a swale that works, and it's your responsibility to maintain that swale from that time forward. So, you know, they need to think about that as they go through the process. I'd hate for us to get back 10 years from now in a situation where the swales don't work anymore and everybody complains, and it's because no one's maintained them after us spending all this money to fix them as we pave streets.
Thank you. And we're still notifying the residents who get the new work done, correct?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, Council.
Any other? I move approval.
Second.
All right, anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
And Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Leads us up to item 12D, presentation on the City of Sebastian See My Legacy Memorial Program. Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to turn this one over to our Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Blankenship, and let him do the presentation.
Mayor, Council, Richard Blankenship, your Parks and Recreation Director. Tonight I present to you basically it's a online platform to do memorial programs. We've had a memorial program in the city for many years, but it was all paper. If there was a change, we had to go back to print. It was tough to market. It was cumbersome. It wasn't efficient. We found this online platform that I'd like to present so that we're excited about to really grow this program. So one of the major items about this program is that we control it. We control the photos, and we can do that in real time. We control the language or the information that's provided there. We control that internally, so we don't have to go to a designer. We don't have to go to somebody else. We take care of all that. So this platform will be on our website. The campaigns, that's what we call, like if it's the Memorial Bench campaign, the brick campaign. We even have a campaign that we're building for the police department so that they can recruit for volunteers, but they can also take donations for whatever program they have going on. If they want to do a canine memorial, whatever, they will have this ability. And then we've added in a functional art section that if larger donors, corporations, organizations, foundations want to be involved, they can be involved in the functional art. So just to give you a brief idea of how it works, everything is done on the platform. Now, if there's somebody that is not comfortable with using the platform, they can come in and we can walk them through the steps. But it lists all the locations where the memorial benches can be purchased for. It shows a photo of them. And where they could go. And the donor can go right here and put in the information they want on the bench and pay for it, and they don't have to leave their location. Same with the brick program. It shows where they can go and they do everything right here. Order it, put in whatever information they want, and they pay for it. One of the things that really is unique about this, if you've seen a memorial before, you know there's a little plate that gives the person's name, maybe another statement, the date they were born, the date they passed, and there's that little dash. This program allows you to explain a little bit about that dash. What did they do between date 1 and date 2? So we put together something for the Krogel family. You know, the family would do this, but we just use this as an example. So the plate is on the bench. It is a QR code. The person takes a picture of the QR code, and this comes up and explains whatever the information is that the family or the donor has put in. So to us, that was really unique and took the ability to provide a memorial to another level. Now, once a memorial is purchased, there is I'm not sure of the technical term, a dot that goes on the map in Sebastian of where this memorial is. So if the family member is somewhere else, they know they've been told there's a memorial, they can go find it on the GPS, click on it. The picture will come up, the picture where it is will come up, and if the family purchased a story card, that will come up as well. So they can see everything that is a part of that purchase. So basically, that is the See My Legacy program, and with your blessing, we will launch this possibly by Friday. And I'll take any questions you may have.
Richard, is the $1,600 expense, is that one time or yearly?
Per year.
Per year?
Yeah.
Council, any questions for Richard?
Are you updating this with information about the prior, like the bricks, for example?
No, that would be
So
a task.
that's not going to be in
From
there.
January, anything purchased from January 1st on will have that.
Okay, so for people who currently have a brick, they can still get through this to the location of their bricks and so forth, like they can today?
Now, the benches are different. We
Yeah.
can sell a story card for the bench if the donor wants to do that.
Okay, all right.
No, this is awesome. Modernization, make it easier. Love it.
Hope so.
Hey, you know you like that computer stuff, don't you, Chris? Put
Yes,
everything-
sir.
Go, Council?
I think go forward.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
I make a motion to approve if that's what we need.
I'll second it, if that's what we need.
All right.
I'll take it.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Anyone Zoom?
Not at this time.
Thank
Any
you.
further discussion?
Brian
you, Richard.
Brian
Thank you,
took
sir.
the motion. Brian already took the motion and ran with it.
You did?
The clerk is gonna call the roll, because
Roll
we're
call,
spending that
Ms.
much
Williams.
money, yeah.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
And Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Madam Attorney, any matters tonight?
No, sir.
Mr. Benton, I know you got a boatload.
No, just a couple items. I think I've talked enough today. Or at least that's what I've been told from staff before this meeting. They told me to tone it down a little bit. So first thing I want to do is I want to, here in the public, just recognize and welcome on board our new finance director, CFO, Mr. Brian Stewart, who's sitting there in the second row. So welcome to the city, and we're looking forward, to great things. And Brian has a wealth of experience that he's bringing to the city, a little different perspective from some of his previous positions, but I think it's going to serve us well, and looking forward to the challenge of continuing our budgeting process and maintaining our fiscal responsibility within the city. So welcome aboard, Brian. Next thing I have is just want to give you all an update on, I believe it was 2 meetings ago, we had a presentation on human trafficking and a request from them for the city to look at the 100% Club. I just happy to announce that just prior to the end of January, we completed, all of our current employees completed the human trafficking training. And we also implemented a policy that would require any new employees to complete the training during the orientation process. So on the first day that they are at the city, before they report to their specific department, during their orientation training, they will complete the human trafficking training as well per the policy. So with that information, I have submitted our application to the Florida State Attorney General's office. I've received a response back, and they have confirmed that we meet all the requirements, and so we should be receiving our certificate officially, naming the city of Sebastian as a member of the 100% Club. So just wanted to follow that up and announce that to the public as well.
Cool.
And with that, that is all I have tonight.
Wow, shocking. Ms. Williams?
Nothing tonight?
Nothing? Mr. Nunn?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, I've talked to you a little bit about this, but I wanted to bring it up here. Boat trailer parking has been a recent concern of some of our boaters, and obviously we are known as a city of fishermen, a city of boats. And the concern they have is we have a parking lot, and I know we looked at that parking lot, and basically the first 3 rows closest to the water, not counting the edge because those are handicap spots mostly, are boat trailer parking. And currently, they're not marked like the ones at Main Street are, marked for boat trailer only parking. We do have signs that say if you park in boat trailer spots that you could be fined up to $100, I believe, due to the ordinance. I would like to see maybe add a couple more signs if possible, if that seems agreeable to the larger parking lot near the Riverside Park. And maybe enforce a little more people. Maybe we start out with some warnings and stuff, but that we start enforcing not parking in those spots. Obviously, during events, that would have to be waived. At least the larger park events like the clam bake and stuff like that, where we're actually closing boat parking down for that, then obviously would be kind of open parking. But during smaller events like the Craft Club this past weekend, people just, instead of going over to the dirt lot or parking in the first spots, they were taking up a good chunk of the boat trailer parking spots. I just think it's become a problem, and I think we have something in place. I guess I would just ask that maybe we talk about enforcing that a little more.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes, sir.
So yes, thank you, Councilmember Nunn. In discussions with staff this week, we have basically come up with the idea to implement a similar plan as what we have at Main Street Boat Ramp. It will be a little bit different because at Main Street Boat Ramp, we are able to install a sign at the curb of every single parking space. However, at the Cavcore parking lot at Riverview Park, we are unable to do that because it is an open parking lot. There's no curb areas within that. So what we're proposing to do from a staffing level is to install signage at all 4 entrances to the Cavcore parking lot that would identify boat trailer parking only in designated spots per the city ordinance and outline the fine of up to $100. In addition to that, at Main Street ramp, what we have done in the parking lot is we have installed pavement markings at the entrance to each parking spot. So on the pavement, we have, it's a black kind of outline setting with white lettering. The verbiage is trailer parking only or boat trailer parking only, something of that nature, which identifies it. So we are also currently looking at the cost and the timeline to receive the paint and have staff have the ability to get down to Cavcore and install those markings on all of the boat trailer parking spots in Cavcore. So that portion will take us a little bit of time. The signage, I believe that they're ready to go as soon as I give them the go ahead on the signage. So that could happen by the end of the week. But the markings on the pavement will take us a little bit more time. I just want to make it clear that, you know, those pavement markings will be there. It will just come down to, you know, people visibly reading them. It'll take some a PSA and also some education for all of our smaller events at the park to notify people that they can't park in those spots. So I will be working with the police department in regards to a warning type system to get it up and going just for notification purposes. And then we can further that advancement as we go forward. But that's kind of what staff has brought back to me this week during their investigation of the boat trailer parking situation at Cavcore.
All right, so great. We won't, you know, hopefully we won't have to get into some sort of progressive form of discipline. Warning, ticket, tow, right? Anything else, Mr. Nunn?
No, sir, that's it for tonight, Mayor.
All right. Mr. Don?
I'd kind of like to know where the boat trailers come from. It'd be interesting to find out how many Palm Bay boat trailers are taking up parking spots in Sebastian, and we're going to fine residents $100 for sliding into a parking spot. I'm not convinced that, I don't know about you guys, but I've received 3 pieces of email about boat trailer parking. I'm not convinced that the problem is as bad as a couple of those pieces of email said it was. And I would like for us to make sure that we're very careful that we're not throwing $100 fines at people for a problem that maybe isn't as bad as a $100 fine entails, and that it's lots full. I don't know. It would be interesting to find out just exactly how many trailers and boats are from non-Sebastian places, and that probably is something we could do by doing some license plate views. And maybe it's time to think about the whole parking situation for down there. We're talking about revamping Riverview Park. We're going to see something coming up relatively soon on that. And part of that revamping of Riverview Park might, you know, is going to involve changes to that whole overflow parking area and all that kind of stuff. So maybe it's time to start thinking about that. And maybe rather than fine residents $100 for parking in a boat parking space, maybe we should make non-residents pay to use them.
I like it. That's a possibility to come up, right? Anything else, Mr. Don?
No, I just am happy to be alive in here.
All right, well, we're glad you're here. Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I'm happy to be in here too. So, you know, one of the things that was said earlier that we are going to be addressing some additional parking with the redo of the whole park area down there. So that's going to be one piece of the puzzle that's going to help us out with that parking. But I'd also like to look at the residents, you know, non-residents maybe having to pay and not our residents for having something on their trailer, the boat trailer itself, and not on the pickup truck or the car or whatever, because they can pull different boats. So we need the trailer to put stickers on there and charge for that. So for non-residents.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Jones? All right, sounds good. Yes, Mr. Bennett?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. So I've heard it from 2 members requesting us to look into non-resident charges for parking. Do I have a consensus that we can start kind of looking into that option?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give you the third.
2.
I'll give you the third. No doubt, the third. We talked about that today as well, and I know there's challenges with that, and you know what we can wear and what we can charge for. So yeah, I would be interested in seeing some of that.
Yeah, I think Main Street's entirely different than
Oh, it is.
that cab court parking lot. The way the boat parking in Main Street is you got to pull your truck and trailer in there to put your boat in and so forth. And then most of the people are parking on US 1 and taking up 2 parking spots as they do that, so.
That's a whole nother issue.
It seems it only happens probably 3 or 4 times a year. It just was a perfect storm last weekend with the stuff going on in the park. Earl's had a big thing, and the weather was beautiful the first time, warmed up. So hopefully we'll never get to having to do a $100 fine. As for me, I just like to thank staff. I was last weekend in the park, the staff members that were there, not to mention, just being there, but friendly and interacting with the people who came out and the youth. There were several guys from the Parks and Rec and also Stormwater guys did fantastic. And then also, again, the IT, the video guys for when we had the 4 Chaplains Memorial. The sound that has gone on is so fantastic compared to years ago, and it seems to just get better each year. So they're doing a fantastic job. So that's all I wanted to say. Being no further business, we're in adjournment.